Philip? Here. Mr. Rue? Mr. Copeland?
Here. Rob Rue's right up there if you're looking. President announces that the purpose of this meeting is for a public hearing to consider right-of-way vacation. Has proper legal notice been given to the hearing?
Notice was published in the Springfield News and Sun, a newspaper of general circulation within the city, advertising the city commission's consideration of vacating the first alley southeast of East Street from Selma Road northeast approximately 150 feet. Attached hereto are true and correct copies of the notices of public hearing published on March 9 and 16, 2022.
I move that the communication be ordered received, recorded in the minutes, and filed.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillip?
Yes.
Mr. Rue? Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes. Staff report.
Good evening, everyone. The applicant needs the vacated alley space to put a new fence by leveling the ground at the rear of the property. The alley is highlighted in yellow as seen on the slide. This will also create a wider approach drive towards the property. Return reports from utility companies state no objection, with Spectrum requiring easement access rights. Return reports from staff state no objection and recommend approval. There were no objections at the planning board meeting and no objections received by staff. The request was approved unanimously at the planning board meeting, and staff is recommending approval of the request. Thank you.
Any questions?
Have you received any objections whatsoever, even after the meeting?
There were no objections.
Thank you very much.
Any other commissioner want to speak to this matter? Anyone in the audience want to speak to this matter? Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rue? Ms. Phillip?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes. Shall we wait till 7? Think legally we should. That hearing wasn't supposed to go that fast. For those of you out there who wonder why I keep looking at the up there, that's there's a clock up there now. So we've got 40 more minutes, 40 more seconds.
Wow.
And the audience.
Instead of that,
Deb.
okay. The meeting of the city commission is called to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estrop?
Here.
Mr. O'Neill?
Here.
Ms. Phillip?
Here.
Mr. Rue? Mr. Copeland?
Here, please rise for invocation and pledge of allegiance. For the opportunity to make decisions for the people of Springfield. Give us the wisdom to do it well. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rue, Dr. Estrop,
Yes.
Mr. Copeland.
Yes. Clerk, proceed with first readings. by title
Before we
only.
go there, Your Honor, I'd like to request a point of personal privilege.
Well, I don't know about that, but talk.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening, I have an important announcement to make regarding the Tremont City barrel fill. We had invited Waste Management to participate in a work session before tonight's commission meeting. However, they were unable to attend. Instead, they asked that I read the following statement from Waste Management Representative James Forney. And I quote from Mr. Forney. Chemical Waste Management, Inc. is a member of a group of 7 companies that has been actively working with the U.S. EPA and the U.S. Department of Justice to finalize the documents that will allow the companies to proceed with the U.S. EPA's selected remedy. The documents are a consent decree, which will be entered by the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Ohio, based on Southern District of Ohio, and a statement of work that identifies the work to be performed at the site based on the record of decision as amended. Both documents are now final and have been sent to the group members and the government for signatures. Group members expect to have their signatures submitted to the Department of Justice by April 6, 2022. Once fully executed, the Department of Justice will submit the consent decree to the court for approval. And I end the quote from Mr. Forney.
How many years?
More like 40. We did it.
Not 4
We
years.
did it. Wow.
It's closer to 20, I think.
This
A
comes
long,
after
long time.
Yeah.
We've been fighting over this issue.
This comes after 3 years of no progress working towards a remedy for this chemical dump that has close to 3 million gallons of toxic waste buried in an area adjacent to our source for water. As referenced in Mr. Forney's statement, we have been informed that a consent decree has been completed and will be signed by all parties by April 6, 2022, and filed with the federal court, moving forward the process of finally cleaning up the Tremont City barrel fill. This is incredibly good news. However, it's extremely important to note that it took a lot of work by a lot of dedicated people to get here. There were many meetings, many conversations, and yes, some old-time political arm twisting. But we got it done. There are many people to thank for this important accomplishment in protecting the water supply of Springfield and Clark County. Let me begin by thanking the members of the City Commission and the staff of the City of Springfield who fight so hard for the people of this city and this area. Secondly, I want to thank Clark County, the Clark County Combined Health District, and Health Commissioner Charles Patterson. Charlie couldn't be with us this evening, but he is being represented by Assistant Commissioner Chris Cook. Chris, are you here? Would you stand and let us recognize you? Thank you. I also want to recognize the leadership of the People for Safe Water. Marilyn Welker and Larry Ricketts, would you please stand and let us recognize you? They've been leading this fight a long time, and we owe them our sincerest thanks. In fact, I was told that when this consent decree is filed with the court in April, it will be 40 years to the month since the start of citizen efforts to address the barrel fill. To those citizens who, over the years, as well as today, have engaged in the battle to get this done, we thank you. In addition, I want to thank U.S. Senators Brown and Portman, Representatives Davidson, Turner, and Kerry, and their staff members who proved to be strong advocates in terms of the need to get this done now. I also want to thank former Congressman David Hobson, who worked so very hard to help us get this done. Furthermore, I want to thank our state representative, Kyle Kaler, and State Senator Bob Hackett, and their predecessors. They've been with us all the way, and the continued support of those in elected office at the state level was so very crucial. And obviously, having the support of the Clark County Commissioners, county elected officials, the Greater Springfield Partnership, various local units of government at the village and township level, as well as our neighbors in the rural areas, clearly demonstrates what we can do when we pull together. While tonight we celebrate a significant victory in moving this matter forward, it is important to note that this is one step forward, be it a big one, but many steps will need to follow before this issue is settled. So we remain vigilant. And speaking of vigilant, the public meeting is scheduled for April 13th at 6 p.m., cafetorium at Springfield High School, will go forward. Because as this process moves forward, we want to ensure we have a solution sooner, not later. Thank you very much.
Oh, there are some of us who actually flew to Chicago one time to try to get the EPA operation in Chicago moving on this. But I think that was 30 years ago, wasn't it? Long, long time ago. So this has been a long battle. Some of us have been involved in it all along the way. And the city has been very committed all along the way. And this is really a great celebration. But let's follow through and make sure it gets done. So thank you to all of you who've been involved in this process.
Someone would maybe like to say something.
Are there any of you who want to talk?
Rob would like to comment.
Commissioner Rue would.
Okay, Commissioner Rue?
All the different voices, some soft, some loud, but all persistent. And I just want to thank Dave for being a continued, just this leadership that he has had during this time, and to just really kind of carry on this, not final step, but certainly close to the final step of representing our city, as all the commission's been passionate about this water. But I appreciate Dave's voice at this point, and thank you for carrying the baton through this seems like final stage of our fight. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Rob.
You in the audience? There's You can go ahead and go on up there. Go ahead.
Larry Ricketts, 1736 North Fountain Boulevard. We would be remiss if we did not thank the one person that started this so many years ago. With us tonight, it is a great honor for me to mention Laura Koffenbarger, who started this entire effort. She brought this to the attention of many people 40 years ago. And without her initial guidance and the guidance of the people for CF Water, we might not be here tonight. So I'd like to acknowledge Laura and the founding members of CF Water.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Mark Allen. I live at 160 Folsom Drive, Dayton, Ohio. I'm retired from the Ohio EPA, where I worked on this site for more than 10 years. This morning, I just happened to be watching one of the morning news shows, and they were interviewing Ken Burns and Walter Isaac about a PBS special coming up on Ben Franklin. So there was lots of discussion of Ben Franklin and things he said. And at the end of it, Walter Isaac ended it with a quote, Ben Franklin, and it went as follows: "The good we do together far exceeds the good we do alone." And I instantly thought of all the people that have already been mentioned this evening. I mean, it was immediate. I've said before, I'll say again, I've done a lot of public meetings in my time. I've never seen such a cohesive. So I wanted to pass that quote along because it seemed to fit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it must be said we had significant help from the state of Ohio, put pressure on the feds to deal with this issue. And we're really thankful for that too. There's a whole lot of people who deserve thanks if we finish getting this done. We're going to stay on it till we do. Anyone else? Okay, so now I think we're ready to start the agenda.
First readings include vacating the first alley southeast of East Street from Selma Road northeast approximately 150 feet, accepting the application for annexation of certain territory containing 247.17 acres, more or less, in Springfield Township and commonly known as the 4025 East National Road Annexation Area, to the city of Springfield, Ohio. Amending ordinance number 9190 passed March 12, 1991, and commonly known as the codified ordinances of the city of Springfield, Ohio, by repealing and replacing existing section 1211.02 titled Standard. Authorizing the purchase of one 2023 HV 507 SFA truck for an amount not to exceed $82,837.95 from Rush Truck Centers through the Ohio Department of Transportation Cooperative Purchasing Program in accordance with the provisions of Section 5513.01B of the Ohio Revised Code. Amending ordinance number 9190 passed March 12, 1991, and commonly known as the codified ordinances of the city of Springfield, Ohio, by the amendment of certain sections of Chapter 916 titled Use of Public Sewers. Confirming and approving a development incentive agreement, single-family residential development, with James M. Davis and Paula S. Davis to provide for sewer services to real property outside the city limits. Authorizing participation in the ODOT winter contract for road salt. Authorizing the city manager to enter into LPA agreement number 35221, amendment number 4 between the city and the Ohio Department of Transportation in connection with the CLA State Route 72 project, PID number 113792, provide clarity regarding the funding sources. And the next item was added to the agenda as a first reading, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Marker, Inc. for preliminary and pre-construction services for the new fire station to be located on South Limestone Street for an amount not to exceed $24,480.
Other questions or comments from commissioners on first reading?
Was wondering in item 094-22, is that an international truck that we're purchasing?
Yes, it is an international truck, and then it'll be upfitted from there, and will be a plow truck as
Great.
well.
Thank you. I think it's important we continue to support our local businesses whenever possible.
Any other questions from commissioners, first reading? Anyone in the audience want to speak to a first reading? Clerk will proceed with second reading.
Approving general salary increases for non-bargaining unit employees pursuant to Section 175.03C of the codified ordinances of the City of Springfield, Ohio, and authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to implement such increases.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes?
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Amending ordinance number 9190, passed March 12, 1991, and commonly known as the codified ordinances of the City of Springfield, Ohio, by repealing section 905.02 titled Streets and Alleys Name Change.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
We had some discussion at our last meeting about this proposed ordinance, and I wonder if you or Logan could explain the changes, if any, that have been made in it.
Yes, Commissioners, I'll ask Logan to step to the mic, and she can address the two items that were brought up at the last meeting by the one individual.
Good evening, Commissioners. The two items that were discussed during the last meeting was number one, the application fee for those that are looking to renew. So we have opted to change the application fee from the $450 to $225, which is half the price for those that are looking to renew the honorary street renaming signs. And then secondly, we have opted to move forward with the signatures from the property owners. I do want to reiterate that this is a policy, so certainly gives us some wiggle room at the administrative level to work with the applicants. Our hope is that they would make a good faith effort to contact those property owners prior to submitting the application. But again, because this is a policy, we have some wiggle room, and we will be able to work with the applicants on that.
Thank you very much.
Logan, I have a question.
Yes.
Yes.
I had an applicant that we already approved a street naming. Does this apply to just future applications, or did this go back at all? So there was a couple of people that did ask that of me.
We, excuse me. So we will contact the property owners regarding the renewal to see if they'd like to move forward with that. So this would
Thank you.
apply to current and future applicants. Any other
No.
questions?
Anyone else? Thank you. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes?
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Authorizing the purchase of two 2023 HV 607 SBA truck for an amount not to exceed $174,649.82 from Rush Truck Centers through the Ohio Department of Transportation Cooperative Purchasing Program in accordance with the provisions of Section 5513.01B of the Ohio Revised Code.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments? Commission?
I think I asked last time, but again, these are international trucks that we are.
Yes, that is correct, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes?
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Authorizing the purchase of one AEBI Paratrack model PT211 tractor and accessories for an amount not to exceed $239,039.06 from Steinke Tractor Sales Incorporated through the Ohio Department of Transportation Cooperative Purchasing Program in accordance with the provisions of Section 5513.01B of the Ohio Revised Code.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission?
Just wondering if Chris or whomever might explain features of this tractor and what we'll be using it for.
Yes, Commissioners, this tractor does a variety of things, but it has a boom mower where we can reach and do around guardrails, bridges, those hard to reach places. It is equipped to do slopes. You may think about the slopes like behind St. Bernard's Church on the 40 overpass. And then it can also be used to reach down and get ditch lines that you can't get a tractor in. It will replace, we'll say 2.5 to 3 aging tractors that we'll be removing from our fleet.
Good. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the city manager to enter into an access agreement with Speedway LLC, granting access to city property and to permit the installation, operation, and maintenance of a monitoring well in the city's right-of-way.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
confirming purchases and the obtaining of services for the city and providing for payment therefore and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the purchase of one Ventrac 4520Z tractor with one cab accessory, one drop spreader, one boom attachment, and one B-blade attachment, and accessories from Caning Equipment for an amount not to exceed $53,794.40 through Sourcewell pursuant to the Sourcewell Contract Purchasing Cooperative Program in accordance with the provisions of Section 9.48 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. I want to say I really appreciate the capacity of our clerk to read these things. I don't have any other comment. Anybody in the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the purchase of one E50 R2 Series Bobcat compact excavator with accessories from Clark Equipment Company doing business as Bobcat Company for an amount not to exceed $82,354.80 plus trade-in credit of $36,000 for a net purchase amount not to exceed $46,354.80 through Sourcewell pursuant to the Sourcewell Contract Purchasing Cooperative Program in accordance with the provisions of Section 9.48 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
authorizing the purchase of one E60 R2 Series Bobcat compact excavator with accessories from Clark Equipment Company doing business as Bobcat Company for an amount not to exceed $106,505.20 through Sourcewell pursuant to the Sourcewell Contract Purchasing Cooperative Program in accordance with the provisions of Section 9.48 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rue,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Dr. Estrop,
Yes?
Mr. Copeland,
Yes.
confirming and approving change order number 2 to the contract between the city and Blue Scope Construction for the installation of a sludge storage facility at the wastewater treatment plant to increase the contract in an amount not to exceed $54,554 for a total amount not to exceed $2,604,042 and extend the contract completion date to June 10, 2022 pursuant to the Sourcewell Contract Purchasing Cooperative Program in accordance with the provisions of Section 9.48 of the Ohio Revised Code, authorizing the city manager to execute said change order number 2 and declaring it an emergency therein.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? The audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Dr. Estrom? Mr.
Excuse
O'Neill?
me, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into Amendment 2 with JCI Jones Chemicals Incorporated for the purchase of sodium hypochlorite for use by the city's wastewater treatment plant, to exercise the option to renew and increase the contract in an amount not to exceed $30,000 for a total amount not to exceed $120,000, confirming and approving related expenditures incurred from March 2nd, 2022 to the passage of this ordinance and declaring it an emergency therein.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? From the audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
Authorizing the exercise of the city's option to renew the contract with Southern Ionics Incorporated for the purchase of liquid sodium bisulfite for use by the city's wastewater treatment plant for an amount not to exceed $49,200 and declaring it an emergency therein.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the commission? The audience? Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes.
That's the end of the agenda?
That concludes our agenda.
I believe it does.
Okay. Got an add-on sheet. That's all right. Anyone, any commissioner want to speak? Anyone in the audience want to speak? Well,
I move we adjourn.
Second.
been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes.
Dr. Estrop?
Yes.
Mr. Copeland?
Yes. Okay, let us also celebrate.
Yeah.
But it's not finished yet.